Cuse fans, one good thing, one bad thing. If you want to say playing with a depleted roster is a bad thing, Street here in Seneca Falls. Well, we come back 2 years later to the place where Syracuse had its greatest victory under our former coach, Greg Robinson, who decided to lay the Cardinals onto the path they're taking. And you know what? If the Cardinals hadn't somehow, and I really mean somehow, pulled out the victory, Steve Kragethorpe would be walking the unemployment line now. But you know what? The former Buffalo Bills offensive coach got a nice little reprieve. As you know what? That was one, and you don't need the slow-mo for this. Boring game. But that was a hell of an opening drive, though, by the Orange. Nice little plan to use the run a lot by Marone. But it always seems we get down towards the red zone or down towards the end zone. You know what? This team turns to foibles. They have a tendency to serve up turnovers with cherry and with icing on top. The Lone Ranger Carter, who was again in beast mode for much of the game, decides to it up. And of course, as I said, through much of the first half, it was boring. No points in the first half. A nice 0-0. 2 goose eggs. I wonder what happened if I took them and used them for breakfast. Would I be honking right now after eating them? But then when the second half came around, we finally woke up a little bit. But you know, you can definitely see what happens when Syracuse is playing with a depleted roster that it is. Boy, do we miss Mike Williams and all the other 20 players who decided to quit the team because they couldn't handle Marone's discipline, and all the other players who are injured. And you can add 2 more to that list after Saturday. Mike Jones is hurt, and also one of our special teams players is also hurt. We're going to be further decimated this Saturday against Rutgers. And finally, we go down, score a field goal. Liechtenstein showing he's no Ireland, kicking the field goal. And of course, what was it with the officiating? Heck, I think this game set a record for going to the replay officials. Heck, we should be paying them double time. But you know, that guy for Louisville, pun intended, must have thrown his helmet at the replay official, because he was the supposed victim or unbeneficiary of 2 of those calls, including that punt return where I guess his knee scraped the blade of grass. But you know, very beneficial to the Orange. But what is it with the special teams? That was the only area of the game where you could pin this loss on for the Orange. They weren't special. They were like that stooge thing. It was a remarkable achievement. You call it. It was like bad cabbage. It was putrid. Bad coverage on the punts. Heck, it was that coverage that ended up losing the game for the Orange. Louisville returning that punt inside Orange territory and driving for the winning touchdown. And let's talk about that. More of the special teams miscues. How can you botch a point after try? Heck, What is it with Bartholomew or whoever it is who's the long snapper? Can't they get the snap down right? Hey, whoever is barking the signals, don't call his mother a jackass, or else you'll get a dead-on snap to kick the PAT, or a dead-on snap back to the shotgun. But whatever, that missed extra point turned out to be the difference. And also, that bad coverage on the punt return. And also, the height disadvantage that Damon Merkerson had against Chester. And what is it with that name? Did his mother sneeze when she gave birth to her? Him? Oh, let me get it straight. Did his mother sneeze when she gave birth to him? Now that I got my genders right, did she say Chester? Whoa, look at that. What? Well, whatever. A 6'9" wide receiver against a 6'1" defensive back. You know who's going to win that every time. And of course, Chester was very nonchalant on his botched touchdown catch earlier in the game. He just reached up like Pee Wee Herman would do. Reached up, gather it, and go, I meant to do that. Bang! But you know what? Officials weren't happy because you know what? You pushed off. But it was survival of the fittest. Only 410 total yards of offense by both teams. And I mean both teams. That was a hell of an effort by the defense of Syracuse, holding Louisville to 151 total yards. But still, you hold them to that, you hold them to 1 of 12 on third down conversions, and what do you still get? A loss, when it should be a win. Whatever. This severely decimated Orange team is going to limp into their last 2 games. This Saturday is their final home game against Rutgers. And let's just start planning for next year, shall we? Paulus, you've had a nice run being the starting quarterback, but I think we better start telling Nassib it's your time. Not that I'm putting you down, Paulus, but you know you've made too many mistakes lately, especially on that last drive. We got a nice kickoff return. We get to their 44-yard line. You throw it, Marcus Sales bobbles the ball right into the hands of the Louisville defender. We could have maybe won that game, but you know what? You're committing too many mistakes, Paulus. But let's have a little good news. Nice performance by the basketball team against Robert Morris, Andy Routens, who looked like he might not have even played earlier in the day, getting the hot hand again from behind the arc. The Orange putting up the century mark in points against that other team from Pittsburgh. And I mean other team, the Colonials of Robert Morris. 100-60, we throttled them. And this week, it's the 2K Coaches Challenge. We play the 12th ranked Golden Bears of California. And you know what? Depending on how we do it that game, we could be playing the Tar Heels. Let's see how this team can play against Mr. Williams in North Carolina. Should give a nice barometer of where our basketball team is now. I'm Ken Haas, and that's the look at what was an ugly game. There, I had a lot of puns for that. A 6'9" wide receiver against a 6'1" defensive back. You know who's going to win that every time?